producer was like, hey, Pete, you need to direct this on the 5th. He's like, no, I don't. She's like, well, who's going to do it? And he just turns around and goes, he is. And I was like, okay. So now I got like the biggest stunt of my career.
Yes.
Right? Biggest stunt of my career at this point, and I got to direct it.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a stunt coordinator and the second unit director of HBO's Watchmen, ABC Stumptown, and even the Netflix hit Season 1 of Ozark. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Mr. Justin Riemer.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me on.
What is up, dog? This is surreal, guys. For those that don't know, I spent about 9 months of my life seeing this guy every single day. And I feel like this lockdown's been like not seeing a family member.
I know. It's funny. We spent so much time together. I was seeing you more than my kids. And now I feel like I haven't seen you in like 2 years.
Anytime you've called me over the lockdown, I'm like, oh, dude, what's up, man?
Yeah, exactly.
Just some familiarity in this crazy situation.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy, and hopefully we'll get through it because, like we said, we're coming back for Season 2 of Stumptown at some point.
Exactly, yo.
And
thank
then,
you,
so we're looking forward to it. It'd be good to get back to work,
Dude, I appreciate it, man. And for those that don't know, I've referenced it on the show tons of times before that had a blast on Stumptown. And literally, I have to credit you to making it so fun, man, because there's so many times I've worked on jobs before where you obviously know the coordinator, but Stumptown was unique because we actually didn't even know each other. He's laughing because it's a very unique situation.
And I laugh and I tell people this story all the time, which is pretty funny, is I was in Atlanta and I literally wrapped Watchmen on a Thursday morning.
Yes.
Of course, the last day is always you're shooting until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. And I'm like, oh, great. I'm done. 9 months. I'm good. And I get a text from my buddy. He goes, hey, you're going to be in town. And I was like, in the fall. I was like, yeah, I think so. But I was literally walking out of my office. I went in to say goodbye to people. And I was like, I'm going to go. I'm done. I'm going to stay in Atlanta for a few days, just decompress. And
take some time off.
And boom, everybody texts me, are you available? And you know how that goes. When someone texts you to see if you're available, there's probably 5 or 6 other guys that
in the mix
are going. And so I was like, yeah, I'm available, not thinking much about it. Well, producer calls me like that afternoon and he goes, hey, we'd like to interview you for the job on Stumptown. I was like, okay. He's like, can you come in tomorrow? I was like, no, I'm still in Atlanta until Sunday because my wife has a big thing. Like when you're done with the show, you need to stay where you are for 3 days because you need to realize that you're not the stunt coordinator when you come home.
That's smart.
So,
Mama knows.
Yeah, so Mama knows for sure. So I get home. He goes, well, can you come in on Monday? I'm like, yeah, I'll be back on Sunday. So I get back in LA and I've been here in 9 months. Like, I don't even know where I'm going. It's been so long to drive there. And so I get into the interview and I'm completely brain dead. I'm like, I don't care if I get this job or not.
Exactly.
And so I go in and, we have this like big double wide trailer that plays for our conference room. And they're going through and they're asking me questions and I'm just saying, okay, this and that. And they go, all right, well, thanks. And by the way, we hired a fight coordinator, which, as you know,
as I know,
is not usually how the program rolls, right? The coordinator usually hires the fight coordinator.
Yes, standard protocol.
So I go and I was like, they're like, oh, do you know Travis Wong? I was like, no, I don't. Nope. But at that point, I'm like, I probably don't care if I get this job too. And I'm tired, so I'll figure it out at a later date. So we go, and I think a week or so passed.
Yeah.
And they finally published the crew list. And so I get the crew list, like, oh, Travis Wong, that's his number. And I'm still like, I don't really care. I'm just going to wait. And so one day my phone rings, and I'm like, who's this number? And he's like, hey, Justin? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, this is Travis. I was like, oh, well, hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. And at that point, I'm like, okay, at least this dude's solid. He called me, He goes, by the way, I'm training Kobe Smulders tomorrow, our lead
actress.
I just wanted to maybe invite you down. And I was like, well, thanks. It's pretty solid of you, Now, I haven't heard from producers, anyone, They're just like, So I'm like, well, okay, definitely solid. He wants to, at least get me in the mix. So I go down there and we're training Kobe and we meet and everything's cool. And then the producer calls me while I'm there. He goes like, hey, I just wanted to give you a heads up. Travis is training Kobe today. I'm like, yeah, I'm standing right here. He called me. So, from the weirdest of situations in terms of coming into a job, it turned out great because,
totally.
Very rarely does that situation work out. And it's worked out great.
Very rarely works out where you're like thrown in the mix with someone you don't know and you're like, oh, I'm going to be stuck with this person for a while.
Yeah.
And I was nervous too because they hired me and I was like, how are you hiring me? Who's the coordinator?
Right.
And they were like, is there anyone you would want to work with? And I'm like, yeah, tons of people, but they're all working,
right.
And then they called me and were like, do you know Justin? I'm like, I know of him.
Yeah.
They're like, all right, great. Well, we hired him. I'm like, well, I hope we get along,
Yeah, I mean, the good part is we really do have the same kind of vision on things, and our mentality and the way we interact are similar. So I was like,
100%.
You're just like, I would say that was probably one of the better things that came out of the show, and which we've said a million times is that like, all right, well, we know we can work together now. So that's the biggest bonus of, what's come out of the really kind of weird start.
Really unique situation, guys. Yeah, a lot of people that aren't stunt people probably are like, what's the big deal? But guys, there's like a chain of command and that never happens. So we were very, very fortunate.
Yeah, no, it was, we dodged a bullet, or at least we dodged a lot of headaches that way.
Yes, 100. Sure. And it's been it was a great season, man. Honestly, like I had never heard of Stumptown before to find out it was like a graphic comic. I'm like, all right, it's cool. But we got really fortunate. We had probably one of my favorite casts that I've ever gotten the chance to work with.
Yeah, and that just that makes the biggest difference in the world. Yeah. We just have a stellar cast. It's just not good at their job, but they're just good people.
Yes,
right, and that makes everything so much easier. They're willing to put the time, and as you know, we deal with Kobe 99% of the time because she's always getting into something. Just a sweetheart. Someone who understands, and I think there's something about being a professional and being a good person, which a lot of the time you don't get both. And
100.
We're very fortunate on that show, and not just the cast, but the crew is pretty amazing. I don't think I've laughed that much on a show in a long time.
100. We have some characters on our crew, man. Some interesting characters, and I'm sure they laugh at us because we're just hilarious.
Exactly.
But man, it's surreal to see you, man. Like I said, we spent so much time together that now we kind of like took a break. I'm anxious to jump back into season 2.
Well, that's the thing. I think there's, as you know, as you become more successful in this business, you work more, right? Yes. And that's just the nature of most things. And at a certain point, you're just like, just in anything, you get worn out and you get burnt out. And, I was thinking about this the last week or the week before. I was like, for the first time in a long time, I was like, I just want to go back to work and do some stuff,
Yes.
Even driving down here, I was like, man, I miss not sitting in traffic.
A little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we'll get through this and we'll get back to it because I think it's always nice on the second season. You kind of know what you're stepping into. You're not trying to figure it out, so you can really hit the ground running and really try to make things much better in a second season.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. I hope we get to amp things up. And like we said, we have like a really cool system going on where we're just jump back into the machine and just press the go
that's
button.
The one, for where we started to know that we could jump back in the machine and just hit play and go. That's a comforting thing.
Yeah,
for
100, man. Well, it's really crazy, man. I really appreciate you coming by. I know you got a family and everything like that. But besides us working together, one of the main reasons I wanted to have you on is one of your shows just recently got a bunch of press because they let everyone watch it for free last weekend, which is HBO's Watchmen.
Right.
And that was the show you were on predating Stumptown.
Yeah.
How long did you work on that for, and where was that at?
I was on Watchmen for about 9 months in Atlanta. It was a long 9 months. It definitely a show I'm super proud of. I think as people watch it now and things that are happening in the world.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to like ask like the showrunner. I'd be like, "Yo, what are the Powerball numbers for next week?" Because the what's happening and the things the stories that show told, it's kind of eerie.
It's very, very eerie.
Yeah. And I think, as you know, when you're in the grind of a show and you're just trying to make it through. So sometimes the overall theme of the show is not necessarily super present in your face, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're just getting through and what the story is, but to see how it's relating now is just like mind-boggling.
Yeah, 100. There's some scenes in there that like just watching it made me uncomfortable. Like watching the hanging scene, for example, is brutal.
I did an interview about that not too long ago, and I have to say, like, we all do scenes where they're kind of uncomfortable, and that by far was the most uncomfortable, real, like, I can't even put it into words. Like, it's, you're doing a scene, and then you throw in, a couple actors who I've worked with before and known, Giovanna Depo and Regina King.
Yeah.
And Regina King is just, it doesn't get any better.
All-star. Yeah.
All-star.
Amazing actress.
And it's just like stepping on that set that day was just like a eerie, weird thing where what you have to do to make the scene work, right? Because if you don't make it work, it's not, you're not doing it justice.
Yeah, you have to emote something from watching that scene. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's difficult. It's difficult to put a noose around someone's neck and, especially someone who you really like, who's like your bud. And it's like, so it was a very, very difficult scene.
It's crazy because, like, in perspective, like, how many shows have we been on where we shoot and kill people left and right and people die all the time. Yeah. But like that isolated incident is it touches home so deeply.
It's, it was difficult, it was, and I had someone ask me about it, like, well, what about the violence? And I was like, it really kind of took the violence down because it was such a emotional scene, right?
Yeah, totally.
You can only kick and punch somebody so much and it starts to take away from what the scene really is. But, I do have to say I was glad when that one was over.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. And what was so cool about that show, not only does it touch on like so many topics that are, very much at the forefront of society right now, but to me what was cool is that every episode felt like a mini movie. It didn't feel like an episodic TV show. And with that being said, I know it probably had to be very difficult.
It's difficult. I mean, it's difficult and it's not difficult, right? Okay. Yeah, I think when you are doing a show, right, that show demanded perfection, right? It demanded perfection, but they set you up to be able to create perfection, right? You're dealing with a show that's spending a lot of money, right? So there's shows that money drives the product.
100. And
then there are shows where product drives how much it costs.
Totally.
And that show was the product drove how much it cost.
Wow.
So if you needed 2 days to shoot a scene, you got 2 days.
Damn.
Because it was important to be right on all fronts, all times, which I think, we talk about different models of shows. That's why, like, in the beginning of Stumptown, it kind of was like pulling my hair out if I had anything, because I went from being on a show that, and not to say that the products are any different, but network TV is based on you have to shoot this in so many days.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is, because it's going to be on the air in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Where there was like, I mean, we shot that pilot forever, just
to
because
get it right.
It had to be right. But with it being right is if you're willing to, if you can put a good product out there, you're going to get the days to rehearse it, to prep it. The set's going to be exactly the way you need it. It's not going to be like, oh, well, we're shooting in this apartment tomorrow, and I know we're kicking in the door. Maybe we'll have a door, maybe we won't. you know,
which we laugh about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
because we got scolded on our
so many times.
first day of Stumptown.
And with that being said, I even remember you kind of telling me a story of how like you guys even shortened the season for the sake of the crew and stuff. Like,
yeah, it was again just the people. We got through episode 5. And we really needed episode 6, which is the episode Extraordinary Being, which is the origination of a Hooded Justice, the Hooded Justice character. The writers really needed some time to really finish and polish that script. And they originally, this season was going to be 10 episodes, and they just needed the time and just to be able to give the opportunity to people to come back and prep the script and do it the right way. And because that script was all based on, when we shot it, all long one takers.
Yes.
And, you know, they said, well, we would rather do 9 great ones than 10 kind of good ones.
That's amazing. Yeah.
So that's when we talk about like the product drives what you're doing. And that's the thing. They wasn't like, okay, well, we need to put 13 episodes on the air, period. It was like, we're going to do 9 great ones instead of 9.5 good ones.
That's pretty unheard of. I haven't been on any shows personally where I've seen them purposefully curtail a season for the sake of it being a better product overall. Yeah. It's usually we're out of budget or something like that causes it, you know.
So that's the first time that happened with me, you know, being on that. But you can't argue with the product, right? I mean, as you know, that lives on forever. And it may sound a little dramatic, but that product's going to be around forever, right? Totally. And it resonates because especially now, because it was done right.
Yeah, totally. I talk about that all the time with like, I have friends of mine who, you know, they're doctors, accountants and stuff like that. And those are great jobs that we all need for society to continue on. But I'm like, they don't have a highlight reel of their best tax season. Yeah. You know, it's like all of our work lives forever, and it's a good and a bad thing, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, listen, really at the end of the day, we're making TV shows and movies, and we're not sending rocket ships to the moon or curing cancer or doing anything of that, but you still take pride in what you do, right? And I think that's the most important thing. And that's why people ask me, they're like, as you know, when we go to look at people that we may not know, boom, where do you go? Like, if we can't find them, we'll go to IMDb, because your IMDb will tell a lot about you. And they're like, well, why do you need to update that? And Terry Leonard told me this a long time ago, which you guys just don't know who Terry Leonard is. He's just a legend.
Legend in the game.
And he said, I wish I updated my IMDb more, because at the end of the day, that's your resume. Yeah. That's your life's resume.
Totally.
That's your work right there. That's your resume. You can look back at it forever. And, you know, that's why I'm like, you tell people like, because, you know, you're going to work on a bazillion different TV shows. You're going to forget what episode it was or what it was or what's that. And some are good, some are bad. But you know what? At the end of the day, that's what you did.
Still part of the journey.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's a cool perspective to think about that. People outside are going to be updating their stuff right now. And so on Watchmen, like obviously you guys did tons of groundbreaking scenes. And one of the things that I think really helped along with that process was having Dave McCumber be your fight coordinator.
Super Dave.
Super Dave.
Shouting out to you, Super Dave.
Exactly. And here's the thing, guys. A lot of times people won't talk about other people that work in their same position. Dude, hands down, Dave McCumber puts out some of the dopest previs and animated visualizations on the planet.
Well, you know, you know, and the funny thing is, obviously, we get along well, and we've done some good stuff as well. But you know, part of me coming in being like, okay, we hired your fight coordinator on Stumptown is like, I just finished working with Dave.
One of the best in the business, dude.
Like,
100.
Dave is like one of the most, you know, one of the best guys in the game, right? His previs and visual effects, like,
it's crazy.
The visual effects guys on the show used to come to us and come to Dave and be like, well, how did you do that? In the previs, right? Which 100. Is, you know,
it's crazy.
Which is kind of rare. And I'm just like, and also, as you know, a lot of it is communication between you and the coordinator.
Yeah,
like, and fortunately we got that, but we had Sadiqa Bonham was down there, doubling Regina King for us. And me and, Dave had such shorthand like we do as well. It was just like a couple grunts, a couple yeahs, and a couple points.
Good to go.
And then we're where we need to be. And she'd be like, I don't even know what you guys just said.
What language are you speaking?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, he is he's a talented dude for sure, man. I love Super Dave.
100. I a long time ago, like almost nine years ago, I was on a movie with him, and he was just doing like 3D car models and stuff. And now I watch his previews, and I'm like, this is insane. This guy's creating mini movies.
Well, even and just to give him the credit that it's due, because obviously we know, and team is everything in our job. Like, you can't do it by yourself. I can't do it by yourself. It's a team. It's a collaborative thing, and there was a couple of things. So he was just but he was doing animatics.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it became like, as you know, the previs that we would send out were like, now everyone's waiting for the previs. They want to, like, the big wigs and everyone, they just want to see the previs. Right. And, I had a showrunner tell me, it's like, dude, sometimes the previs outdo the actual finished product. Right.
Totally.
So we just started to continue to amp it up, and I knew I could just lean on Dave to amp it up. So we were going to do a car chase in, I think, episode 7 of The Watchmen.
Yes. Yeah.
And, they come down and they say, well, we want to do a car chase and all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, Dave, can you animate a car chase? Or I don't think I even asked somebody. He's like, I can animate a car chase. And I was like, okay, cool. Rock on, go for it,
Like, let's do it, yeah.
So we animate this, he animates this car chase, and
which I've seen, and
great.
It's dope.
And, it's, we ended up not doing it because it was going to cost a ton of money, which was a bummer. But then episode 8 comes along, and we have a shootout with Angela coming to save Dr. Manhattan.
Yes.
So she runs out, and she's going to fight a bunch of the 7K guys.
It's the one where she takes out tons of people.
People. And so we're like, all right, Dave, can you animate this? He's like, yeah, I think so, So he animates it, and, obviously we walk and we talk and we figure out, and he animates it. And the coolest thing was in that scene, first unit shot one day.
Okay.
And then I went and shot a second unit another day. But during the second day, it rained, so we didn't get all the way through. So, but we're using that animatic, right, along with whatever
like
storyboards as a template.
Yeah.
And so we need one more day to clean up some shots. And so I'm going to go back and clean up the shots. And we're sitting in our production office there, and we have a big screen TV. And now they're playing the cut with the animatic spliced into where we need the shots.
No way.
So
you just know what you need fully.
And it was already there, which, it was kind of a cool deal to be like, yeah, HBO and like all those dudes and everyone watching it, like, yeah, our animatics in the cut for what's going to be in the show.
That's how they show the ultimate trust in what you're doing.
Yeah, which is really cool. But yeah, I can't say enough about
dude.
He's a wizard, and he's a good dude.
Yeah, for any of you that are just getting into like beginner filmmaking or trying to shoot previews, he's been putting out free tutorials during this lockdown. So go find Dave McCumber's YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Giving away free knowledge.
Yeah, free knowledge. I even go to his channel and I could call him.
I know, right? Me too. I watch him too.
And I try to figure him out, but at a certain point, it's he makes it look easy.
Dude, this guy just recently, to put it in perspective, he just bought his own motion capture suit, and he's been doing fight scenes with himself, like doing both sides. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So dope. And so of all the scenes that you guys did, is there one that stands out in your mind? I know they put out like an anatomy of the fight, which was really cool.
I think that, obviously the shootout was big for me. That was just a great thing. And I'll definitely say the anatomy of the fight.
Can you pull that one up, Connor, the anatomy?
That we did.
That's crazy. Yeah. I think, personally speaking, the shootout one is one of my favorite ones, just because it's so crazy. But I think that the one where you guys had to stitch together all the shots to look like a oneer was also pretty cool.
It was, here it is. Here it is right there.
Yeah.
But, as you know, with any of that stuff, talent's everything, right? Talent's everything. I think in that scene we had Dan Carter, who was Dublin Hood Justice. And if you don't know Dan Carter, that dude's a freak. And I don't say that out there very often, but like that dude is the nicest guy on the planet and just a sick athlete.
Yeah,
but
super savage.
You can look at it and it's like Justin Eaton, Mike Wilson,
of course,
Spencer Mulligan, Keith Ward, John Ania.
Literally the best of the guys in ATL.
Best guys you could get, and could we have shot that scene in one take? No doubt. Sometimes does it make sense to splice things together? Yeah.
Yeah.
But definitely one of my favorites. That one definitely gets a lot of love. Trying to think, it's such a blur. That show is such a blur.
It's kind of crazy when you're in it. You almost don't even get to appreciate it really. I remember you mentioning like you were even thinking about rewatching the series in its entirety now that you're like take a step back.
And I would like to. It's just when you're in it, and a lot of people that don't know how production works, it's like from when I started there in I think September, October to November, we were shooting like 7 different episodes
totally
at once.
Yeah.
I just, so it's really kind of hard to, like you said, appreciate it. I remember at one point we had like 3 or 4 units going with 3 or 4 different directors. Like, wow. I remember being in Atlanta and I was like, all right, I got a minute. I'm going to go to the gym and like driving home from the gym, I got a text from like 3 different second ADs at once on the same show. And I was like, I almost crashed my car.
What am I talking about? Yeah.
So you just get so wrapped up into check this one off, check that one off that sometimes you don't really get to sit back and enjoy, what you put down.
100. No, it's super crazy. And like we've said, if anyone hasn't had the chance to check out the series, you should check it out because it's groundbreaking in a lot of different ways. Yeah. Like I think that the way you guys approach it cinematically is very, very different than a lot of TV shows. You usually only see that on feature films.
And I'll give props to Greg Middleton, who is one of our DPs, and he'd probably love it. He's an action nerd. He did some of the Game of Thrones and all that stuff. But as you know, a lot of times those guys want to shoot things and do things their own way. Yeah. Because that's their job.
Totally.
And he was just a really great collaborator. He got it. Like, if you look at that anatomy of that fight, for the most part, if not all, 9, that is straight off our previs. Yep. Like if I was to throw the previs up next to it, you'd be like, wow, this is the same thing. But me and Dave just come up with those shots and he's like, yep, that works.
Which is cool. Doesn't always happen that way.
Does not always happen that way.
I've been on some shows completely ruined by the individual in that department or in that role.
Yeah.
Where they just completely butted heads with us.
Yeah. And I know, like, that show, I feel like there was such a great collaboration. Like, as you know, you get on some shows and it's not like the most collaborative thing. That show was like collaborative from top to bottom.
That's
like,
crazy.
There was like, it didn't matter if you were like the second prop person. If you had an idea, someone would listen.
That's cool.
Which was really cool. And I think when you got that to a certain point, you'll usually come out with like a bit of a better product.
Yeah, I agree.
Because everyone kind of checks their ego.
Yeah.
A little bit, which is kind of nice.
And you also hear more ideas than just one single voice, which sometimes you need,
And you just, even though hearing one, you got to be open to ideas, right? And
totally.
And be able to sift through them and be able to listen. And we'll say this a lot, like, be the second smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
Don't be the first.
100. That's crazy. And now, obviously, Stumptown and Watchmen were your most recent shows. But I think your story of how you got in the industry is even crazier. So what was your first introduction to the stunt industry?
Okay, so I'll give you, which is kind of funny, right? And I'll just say this out loud. I didn't even know what stunts were, or if I had any desire.
That's
to be
the best part about this. I love this.
So I was, I grew up in New Jersey.
Yes.
I played football at the University of Massachusetts. Well, over the summers, I would train with a speed and conditioning guy. Way before it was super like popular like it is now.
Like everyone does it now.
Yeah, everyone does it now. And so when I was done, done playing football, and done with college, I moved back home, but I was still working out for some NFL teams, like still trying to, live the dream or chase the dream or whatever it may be, to no avail. So I'm now working at the place where I used to train. It's now become more popular, and I'm one of the trainers there.
Okay.
And so I'm there, and my other buddy who did just finished playing for the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons is there too. And we're both in the same boat. We're just kind of like, all right, what do we do?
Yeah,
with our
what's
life?
next? Yeah.
And so one day, this big guy comes in. His name's Pete O'Negan, and he would laugh if he saw it. Tell a story. He comes in with this binder, and he's got pictures of like Cameron Diaz and Al Pacino, and he's trying to get back to play in the Arena Football League, which was still around at that point.
Okay.
And we're like, who's this asshole? We're Jersey, right? At
Yeah,
this point, we're like,
strong personalities.
Yeah, it's like, who's this asshole walking around the gym with a binder full of pictures? Who cares? And so he either knew us from the area or knew we played football. And he goes, hey, listen, there's a football movie in Maryland. He actually had just finished working on the movie Any Given Sunday.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Old school classic. Yeah.
Well, the next movie that was coming up was The Replacements. And he goes, we're looking for a football team. They're looking for a football team. Basically, the guys that run all the plays on the field and do all the hitting, we call them special ability extras.
Yes.
So he goes, you guys should try out. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's football related.
It's football related.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, well, at least I could go like put pads on and like hit somebody again, at least maybe get it out of my system. And so me and my buddy Brian Saxton, we go down to Maryland, and how we do the football movies, because I've done a lot of football movies as a coordinator as well, is it's like going to a combine. You run 40s, you do drills, you do all that stuff, and then they take the best 40 guys. So we end up making the team, me and my buddy Brian.
Okay.
And so I'm like, holy crap, like in 10 years, I could like at least tell my kids like your pops is in a movie, right? So
crazy to think about. Yeah.
So I go down there, and I'm out of college. I'm 22 maybe, and so we make the team, and the movie ends up being like, it's a great movie.
It's like a cult classic, man.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
But it was just one of those movies, and I've never been on one since. And I don't know if maybe it's just because my eyes were not as wide open as they were, but it was the most hard partying movie ever. Like I think it was like a college kid's dream. I was like, I'm still in college and they're paying me.
No way.
And I think at that point we were making like $1,000 a week, maybe. I'm not killing it or getting rich, but I'm like,
you're not on stunt contract.
I'm not on stunt contract.
Yeah.
I'm making $250 a day.
Yeah. Wow.
As a specialty extra. And so I meet a few guys, and they're like, they had done a few more football movies than me, and they go, we're moving to LA. And I'm like, movie wraps, I go home. Well, actually, I'll get back to it. So one of my buddies I met over there was Kevin Reed. He's a stunt guy. He lives in New Orleans now. One day he goes, I'm going to be a stunt guy. And I was like, okay, what's really a stunt guy?
Yeah, yeah.
He goes, well, they're doing a car sequence. Let's go watch it. And I was like, okay. So we go over there and we watch it, and we happen to, Keanu Reeves was in the movie. And at the time, his assistant lived across this hallway from us,
okay,
where we were staying. And she goes, hey, let me introduce you to Keanu's stunt double. And I was like, okay. Come to find out, Keanu's stunt double at the time was Chad Stahelski.
Yep. One of the owners of 8711.
Yeah, definitely one of the owners. 8711. And we're like, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, all right, well, if you guys ever move to LA, call me.
No way.
Right? And so I'm just like, all right. You don't think much of it, right?
You meet a lot of people.
I still don't want to be a stunt guy. I just want to continue to party and do what I'm doing. So I go home after the movie wraps, and I think we wrapped in like November. And so, what do you do after you work on a movie? You're a college kid, you just get out of college, you work on a movie. You're like, I don't know what I want to do. So my parents are like, listen, you either need to get a job or we'll buy you a ticket to LA. And I was like, dude, I'm going to LA. Because if I can still party like I did, at least in 6 months, I can come home and everything will be cool. So we got out here, and just randomly I call Chad.
No way.
And he's like, all right, well, come on down. Now I'm a standard, like, traditional sports guy. Like, right? Yeah. I played baseball. I played football in college. So I go down to his place, this is before 87.
Yeah, pre-87.
Yeah, this is like, those guys are still stunt guys for the most part. And I walk in, and it's like John Valera, Chad, and like they're all ninjas.
They're all lifetime martial artists.
Yeah, and I haven't kicked. I don't even know what a sidekick is. And
it's a phone.
Yeah, exactly. And but I just felt like, well, shit, I could do that. So I just continued to go down there, and they put in a bit of time with me, and I was able to meet a ton of people, and that's just really kind of how I got into it, totally by accident.
That is so great. Like, what a better introduction.
Well, that's the thing.
Like,
there's a few things you look back on your career, and you'll say, oh, man, that was really lucky. And to run across Chad randomly was a very big break in my career.
It's kind of funny because mine parallels that. Like, when I first got in the industry, I was invited down there with a small group of like 6 of us, and they were just whooping our asses for 8 hours a day. But looking back, I'm like, I learned everything. All my fundamentals I learned there. Even camera, I learned from David Leach, the way he was shooting previs,
And that's the thing, I think, when we talk about the business, it's like where I think a lot of people get lost in this, and where you can really make strides in the business early on is learning how to train, right?
Yes.
Not necessarily what you do, but like the effort that you put in. Like those guys, and back in the day, there was Chad, Dave Leach, Brad Martin, Marcus Young, Mike Gunther, Darren Prescott, Chris Palermo, Tim Rigby, and it could go on.
These are guys that work nonstop.
Yeah, O'Hara. Yeah. But they approached it like it was a business.
Yeah.
Right? And they approached it like, you're going to train. Like, and as you know, because you were down there before, it's like, we would always go kick on Saturdays or whatever. And it's like, if some random person showed up who wasn't invited, you were like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Because you knew you were going to crawl out of that joint.
Yeah. You're going to smoke everyone.
Not because it was because Chad or whoever was in charge of the workout was going to break them. Yeah, and if they showed up, then you kind of earned a little bit. And 99% of the time, no one showed up again, but everyone, all the regulars were like, oh, we're totally screwed.
Great.
Right now.
Yeah. Oh, I know how that goes.
And it's like, but those guys did help point you in the right direction. You know what I mean? It was like, I went from non-martial arts at all to within 3 weeks kicking with Chad, John Valera, Tim Connolly, and Marcus Young. I used to like crawl out of my car when I would get home. Like, no joke. I would crawl out of my car.
That is correct. And I can imagine, I can't imagine, but I can at the same time, because martial arts has been my whole life. Like, to start it that late in life and to be thrown into that lion's den, that's crazy. Like,
I think that's just partially maybe why they liked me, because they're like, this dude's stupid. He just keeps showing up, so, but it taught me how to work. It taught me what you had to put in this business.
I think that's a huge part of it that a lot of people overlook. A lot of people view our business as like, oh, it's so cool because if you're not working, you have free time and you get to like chill. I do agree that like we do get more free time where we get to chill, but I do see a big difference between the people that work all the time who use that free time to train as opposed to those people that are like, oh, I'm not working. I'm just going to go chill today.
Yeah. I was told this, when I first started. It was like, listen, you're going to learn everything you're going to learn by the time you're 30.
Yeah.
Right. And you need to train now because you won't be able to train like you train now
Totally.
when you start working, right? Because the more you work, the less you train.
No time.
Yeah. And, the window is short, right? The window is short. So you can't, as we talk about a lot, like your window as a stunt performer is relatively small.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a pro athlete in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And if you don't put the time in early enough, because like, your 20s and your 30s, like that's your window if you're going to be a performer, right? Yeah, unless you're the special guys that can drive the shit out of a car, ride a motorcycle, rig, like you got to be on point from like day one, and you got to maximize it. And I think, when we talk about this, like this is a job, right? It's a job. At the end of the day, it's a fun job. You get to do all the shit you wanted to do when you were a kid, but it's a job and you got to treat it like that.
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the things that helped us both kind of relate to it is that like growing up in sports and team sports, you're just very used to hard work is literally, there's no excuse for hard work. You can't all of a sudden get better magically.
Well, and I think that carries with you, right? It's like we talked about, what are you doing when you're not working, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I don't train studs so much because it's been a long time since I've really done a lot. I just don't have time, right? I'm always on some. But there's little things I do. Like if I'm in Atlanta or even here, and I've probably told you before, dude, I go run when it's like 110 degrees
You
outside.
love it. I know you love it.
Like I was in Atlanta and I go downstairs in my condo and the ladies at front desk be like, "You're running?" And I was like, they're like, "It's like 110 out." I'm like, "Yeah." But I do it because I know physically and mentally at some point I'm going to be out there standing on the tarmac and it's going to be 110 degrees and I don't have the ability to just tap out.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? So there's many ways to do it, but like, I think you got to stay focused on what you're trying to do. Like, is getting in better shape really making me that much better? No, but I'm going to tap out a lot later than anyone else is going to tap out when it comes down to it. And it's important to me to be there and on it just for the people that are working for me.
Yeah, 100. I find it very funny. And like, I've brought this point up many times before when I've talked to other people, which is like, we have the opportunity we make as much money as surgeons. Yeah. Like people that go to medical school for how many years, if you just walk into stunts and think like, oh, I'm just instantly going to be good, you have to think about it. Like, how many years of schooling do doctors go through? And what I find really funny is there's some people now who I feel like I'll ask them flat out, like, did you do sports before? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, how many days a week did you practice? Right. They're like, well, we had practice 5 days a week. Yeah. And I go, do you practice stunts that much? And they go, no. And I go, so you trained harder in high school for something that didn't pay you as opposed to something that's going to make your entire career,
And I think people find that get really kind of don't understand, like, because it's considered an art, right? Let's consider it an art form. Yeah, but it's an athletic art form, right?
Not everyone can do it or should be able to.
Yeah, it's not like, baseball pitchers don't not throw for 6 months and then come out in spring training and just throw 90, right?
Heaters out the gate, yeah.
It's not how it works. And I think that's where I think a bit of the disconnect is, like, because it is a fun job, like, you make it what it is to you in terms of, like, we were talking about this before, like, there's reasons certain people work all the time.
It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. It doesn't happen by accident, right?
Yeah.
It's the amount of time and effort and care that you put into it. As you know, not that we're performing as much as we used to, but we still go home and at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the morning when something is going on the next day, like, we're still in it.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think people think this is just like the kind of like, oh, what's great. I've made this and that. Yeah, it could be a job, but is it a career? You have to make that choice, right? And then everyone has to make that choice. And the effort you put in is how good you're going to be in your career, or it's just going to be a job.
100%. I think that's invaluable knowledge for people to hear. And we're not here to like beat a dead horse or be like workout Nazis, but there's a clear, like, you know, you can see a clear link between people that inherently train really hard and have a large skill set and the amount of times that they work per year.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, just look at those. You can look, and we'll just use them because we talked about them. Look at Chad and Dave.
Totally.
Right? Those guys are like, I don't know anyone that ever worked harder than that.
They were obsessive.
Yeah.
Literally.
And probably still to this point. Probably Chad a little bit more than Dave. But, you know, the thing is, like, they had a vision.
Totally.
They said, this is going to be my career. They said that they knew they were going to be directors. They knew what they were. And it wasn't over until that's where they got. And I think that's one of those things you got to keep in mind is that, like, you got to have drive. You got to know what the future is. I mean, hey, if you want to come be a stunt person for the fun of it, that's great.
Yeah.
But eventually that's going to wear off, you know.
100%. And like we said, you just got to find a way to be enjoyable and like combine passion with hard work at the same time.
It's nothing changes, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing. Hard work is hard work.
Yes. 100%. And now one of the things that I know was cool about you is that you were able to combine passion and hard work in the sense that like The Replacements was like a football movie. I know one of the other main jobs, and correct me if I'm wrong, but was your first second unit, was that on Friday Night Lights?
That was Friday Night Lights, TV show.
Which is crazy because it's another way that you were able to combine your passion with hard work. And
yeah, you know, I was very fortunate to have, like you said, that passion and that football knowledge and be able to help progress my career, right?
Yeah.
You know, and we'll talk to people a lot about, you know, because we'll talk to a lot of people, as you know, always be like, well, I want to be a stunt coordinator. Or I want to be this, right? Okay, well, sometimes you got to step backwards to go forward.
Totally.
Right? And, you know, when that show came around, I had done the movie as the assistant football coordinator. I ended up getting offered the job to be the football coordinator.
Totally.
Okay. And a lot of people don't know, like, at that point in my career, I was starting to work super consistently as a stunt person. Matter of fact, when I took that job, I think I turned down maybe one of the Spider-Man movies to work on for a good amount of time. But I took that job not as a SAG person, just as the football coordinator. But I said, all right, I know that in so-and-so years, if this thing goes, I think I can be this and be that and be this.
It's your conscious decision. Yeah.
So I stepped back and cost myself probably a ton of money.
Yep.
Right? With the purposes of knowing that the belief I had in what I could do was going to come through. And it was. It ended up being the right move. You know, I ended up being the stunt coordinator, and then I ended up being the second director, which
crazy.
Opened so many doors, you know.
And all things, like, in the end, it was a long run. How many years were you out there, and how many episodes do you remember?
I was out there for, I think we did 5 seasons, and we did 76 episodes.
Holy crap.
Another show that, you know, I'm extremely proud to have worked on. Another one of those shows that actually I had this, someone text me the other day, like, I just showed my daughter that show. She's like 12 and she's like totally into it in season 3, you know?
No
but that show was great for me because it was a different type of show. You know, the nice part about it, it was super young cast at the time.
Yes.
We shot a lot differently in terms of not so much the football, but it was like 3 cameras, handheld, no lighting, no rehearsals, no marks.
Crazy, almost like guerrilla shooting on a real set. Yeah,
guerrilla shooting, and it allowed me to really learn. Right? Yeah, I think that's what we talk about. Is you can learn so much by just being at work.
100%. A lot of people, even going back to the Stumptown story, when I had interviewed for that job, and they were like, "Oh, we'll hire you as the fight coordinator, but we're going to hire a stunt coordinator." a lot of my friends were like, are you going to accept that? Like, we know your goal is to be a stunt coordinator and you don't want to get pigeonholed. And I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to take it, because clearly I'm lacking some things in my resume that a producer wants. So I'm going to make the most of this and just learn everything I can from whoever they bring in, you know?
Yeah. I think that's it. I mean, like, listen, there's no film school for stunts.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
We didn't go to NYU film school.
No, yeah.
But the day-to-day knowledge, and you're the same way with me, and just because we work together, like, even though we're at work, if we're there and we're not shooting a fight for another 2 hours or whatever, we're there.
Yeah, we're still there.
We're there, right?
Yeah.
We're there. We're not hiding. We're not in our trailers. We're not doing anything.
Totally.
I don't know if they don't even give us a trailer because they know we're never going to be in it, right?
We're constantly just standing on set. Yeah.
But you can learn so much just by watching. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business. You know, it's free knowledge right there. Well, actually, it's not even free. You're getting paid.
You're getting paid. Yeah, you're getting paid to go to school. Yeah.
You know, so it's been good. I mean, I was fortunate with Friday Night Lights that really kind of being in the football world, that kind of baby step eased me into being a coordinator, right? Because
great show to learn on.
Yeah, I mean, we're slapping somebody, we're punching somebody.
Yeah.
Which I'll tell you, I mean, nervous as hell. Like when the first punch, you got to coordinate.
Of course.
And it's just a punch. Now you just laugh at it. But, you know, it baby stepped me in the stunt world into being a coordinator. And it put me in a comfortable position as a football guy to be able to shoot the second units.
Yeah, 100%. And so that technically was your first, was that your first stunt coordinating and first second unit?
That was my first.
Wow.
That was my first stunt coordinator job and second unit job.
Dude, checked off both boxes.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man.
Yeah.
And now since then, you've had the opportunity to move on and stunt coordinate tons of different shows, like I said in the intro.
Yeah.
Also on the list, you've done like Leftovers, Castle Rock, stuff like that. Is there a show that stands out in your mind as having been one that was the most, I don't know, challenging or maybe the most rewarding?
I think there's a couple. I think obviously Leftovers, Friday Night Lights is just probably one of my most favorite shows ever.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just because of same thing. It was tremendous cast. Austin, Texas for 5 years, which
so
is
jealous
my
of that.
favorite place on the planet.
You even named your son Austin.
I even named my son Austin based on that. And I was fortunate enough to go back there for like a season, a few episodes on Leftovers. I think Leftovers probably is one of my shows because I think we started to do some bigger gags that I hadn't been able to do. Like in the pilot, we did Peter Berg shot the pilot. And
dope.
in the pilot of Leftovers, we had a couple things that we had to do. I did a couple double 60-foot descenders into imploding cars that I got to set up and shoot, and which was like, that's a step up from slapping somebody in the face. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And then we had like I don't even know, 60 or 70 person riot in the pilot. So that show holds a special place for me because that was like the show that I knew I was like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah. Checking off bigger gags. So
I was like,
you can
okay,
handle.
I feel like I can do this. And then I think Watchmen will always hold something for me because, again, I think, yes, the relevance of the show, but I feel like I got better at my job.
Yes.
Yeah, right. And I think that's how you look at it. And I think you probably feel the same way. It's like a show is a show is a show to a certain point. Right. But what do you take out? I got better. I became better at my job on the Leftovers.
Okay.
And I became better at my job
on Watchmen.
I
have my eureka moment for me was Fast 7 because I really had to really get thrown into dealing with like multiple personalities, tons of high level previs. Yeah. And I walked away from that like, oh dude, that was like 5 years worth of work in that 9 month run. You know?
Yeah. Right. And confidence is everything in this job.
Yeah.
Right. Confidence in being able to handle situations and people and all those things are, different, and it's, like you said, it's not so much the stunts themselves, right? It's how do you manage the personalities, right?
Yes.
How do you manage personalities? How do you communicate to the people? How's your communication process, right? Like, if I had just come off, and we'll go back to us, if I had just come off a different show than Watchmen that wasn't as big, I probably would have been a little bit more apprehensive when they said, "This is your fight coordinator."
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
But I walked off that show. I was like, dude, I can handle this.
Could do anything.
Whatever. I could do whatever.
I could do anything.
And so I think that was that confidence and that handles does play into situations down the road.
Okay. No, 100%. And now, I don't want to be incorrect on this. So Connor, can you pull up the one that says building jump? Is this Leftovers or is this Castle Rock? Building
Castle Rock,
jump.
Yeah.
So this one, okay. So this is one where you guys are just testing.
Yeah, we're just testing
jumps off of this one, right?
There was a scene in the first episode, which that show was crazy, not in a bad way, but like there was a scene at a football game, and there's a mascot that jumps off. The little girl sees him, and the mascot.
So that's what this is.
So that's what that is.
Ah.
But what you're looking at here is that was just a test there because, unbeknownst to everyone, I'm an idiot and got too small of a crane on the test day, so we couldn't go to the normal spot. There's a space just a bit to the as we're looking at it to the
to the left of it. Yeah.
Okay, well, the real gag is he's in a mascot costume at night on a slanted roof, and he's jumping off the building, and he can't see it. So that's Balin Rippenkroger.
No
and,
way.
That one wasn't bad, but the Leftovers one was pretty bad.
That's what I was gonna say, Connor. Now pull up the Leftovers one, and there should be one that says like go to Leftovers. Yeah, hopefully that one's it.
Yeah,
this is it. And so that's why this is the one that I wanted to talk to you about, because I saw that other one, and then this one is just brutal. Yeah. Connor just said, "Oh my god!" So you want to be a stunt man, Connor? Yeah. And so for those that aren't listening, what we're watching right now is two people jumping off of what? Yeah. This is 3 stories?
That's 65 feet.
65 feet.
That is,
and we're seeing them.
Chris Place,
okay,
a good buddy of mine, coordinator from the show Blind Spot and a bunch of other things,
which I love,
and Asia Foray.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Shout out to Asia, from New York. Yeah,
both out of New York. And you look at that building; that's a green screen.
I was gonna ask you, and then I was gonna ask you, did you guys do this in cuts?
I did do.
There's a cut before they hit the car, right?
There's a cut about 20 feet up.
It's good stitching, man. Because I had to watch this a bunch of times, and I was like, "There's no way they'd smoke that guy in a car. There's no way. There's no way."
I tell you what, they went in there. Special effects guys did a great job. There was a pole on the car, and the funny thing is Pete Berg. This is the pilot. He goes, "I want him to jump off the building, and I want him to do it in one." And this is a moment, as you know, where you're like, either I got this or I don't got this.
You're in a tough spot as a coordinator because you don't want to promise.
That's where you're at. And Pete's awesome, and I've worked with him, a few times. But Pete doesn't want to sit here and prep with you a bunch, right? Pete just wants to say, "I want this at 60 frames and
make it happen."
And then so I'm like, I'm not super experienced.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, how am I going to do this?
Totally.
Right. And so fortunately, a good buddy of mine was the visual effects coordinator on it. And he goes, all right, well, I think we can do it this way. Right. And so then what we don't know is we're in Long Island in July.
Okay.
It's probably 105 out.
Oh yeah, super insane.
The cars are sinking into the asphalt
because it's melting.
Holy
crap!
And they're just dressed in winter clothes. We did this in 2 shots, and I ended up directing this because it was like July 5th.
Oh, right after the holiday. Wow.
And July 4th was a Thursday, and producer was like, hey, Pete, you need to direct this on the 50s. He's like, no, I don't. She's like, well, who's going to do it? And he just turns around and goes, he is. And I was like, okay. So now I got like the biggest stunt of my career.
Yes.
Right? Biggest stunt of my career at this point, and I got to direct it.
Damn.
Right? So
Pressure cooker
Woo! For sure. But we, how we shot this is that you can look at Asia's just on they're both on single lines.
Yep.
But you see Chris, who's going into the car, he is, we have him bridled. So there's points.
So he can obviously lay back.
He can lay back.
Yeah.
So he lays back to a certain point. If you're looking at it, probably right there, right?
That's where the cut is.
Flat. So that's where the cut is. So now I can follow them down. He's at his angle we know he's going to go into the car with. And then now we can lock off the camera again, take him up 25, 3, and then drop him into the cars, and the cars really do implode and all that stuff.
And did you guys have to match, like when you reset him at that second point, did you guys have to visually match his body positioning?
Yeah, we visually matched him. And that's why I put the leaders on him so I could get that exact body position.
Could adjust each point. Yes.
And then he was already locked in. It was, and I can't tell many people on the internet were like, is that 1? Is that 2?
It's a tough one. I had to watch it a bunch. Yeah.
But that's, again, I think stepping up to the moment, that was just the pilot.
Totally.
Right? So, Damon Lindelof did The Leftovers. David Lindelof did The Watchmen.
Yep.
Right? Not that he's necessarily hiring me. I have other people.
Oh, but they remember.
Yeah, right?
Totally, man.
And that, when you get there, that's trust, right? If you pull that off, it's trust. And that's why, like we talk about, it's so important just to be dialed in. But that's why The Leftovers is big for me, because that was a big moment. That right there is the moment where I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing.
That is crazy. That's like a huge hot seat to be put in. And I'm glad that like literally it turned out to be an epic story, because like I was very curious about that. It's not an easy gag.
No,
that's not an easy one.
It's not an easy gag. And it's, as you know, it's pressure's on you, not just for the simple fact, and I'll give shout out to this because Brian Smythe from New York rigged it for me and did obviously a great job. It's pressure, like when you think about the components of, it's not just, can we pull it off? Can you shoot it? And then you got your buddy 65 feet in the air.
Say, safety. You don't want to hurt anybody.
And you don't want to hurt anybody. Yeah. So to jam all those things all at you at once is, when you do come out of it and it turns out well, you're like, okay, thank God, Yes. But yeah, that was a big moment for me, for sure.
I'm glad I picked that clip. I'm super glad I picked that. And now one of the things, like, obviously we've talked about all the coordinating, the second unit directing you've done, but before all that, like, you've also had like a really, really great performance career. I know you've gotten to double Stone Cold Steve Austin. You've doubled Vin Diesel before. Like,
yeah, I mean, not Vin that much, just because I think no one wanted to come to work, so I had to double Vin. But
and you had the shaved head.
Yeah, the shaved head, yeah. And then it was still iffy at that point. Yeah. But it ended up being probably that day though was definitely one of my favorite stories. I think, is we know, him a lot better than I do. I only spent really one day with Paul Walker.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. One of the best guys I worked with.
One of the best guys, just normal guy, and it's always funny. So I was a lot heavier at that point, right? So I came in for reshoots, I think on Fast 5, just for a day,
which is my favorite one of the whole franchise.
And so we're in I guess they get captured, and they're in a automotive shop, and they're chained up by handcuffs to the hooks and the
thing
hoist.
That raises,
Right. So we get there, and I'm like, so it's, I don't know, for some reason Vin and Troy was not there, so it's just me. So it's me and Paul.
No way.
Right, and I'm thinking like, okay, whatever. I don't think I'm going to have to hang from these hooks all
Practical,
day.
Right? Yeah. So
Paul is there, and they give us a little bar to put between the hooks to grab and hang on to. And not to come, as a performer, you don't know what's going on. It's a 2-page scene.
No shit.
right? So it's 2 pages before you jump down and we fight. And we're hanging there all day.
Dude.
And it's
And
like
you're not wired in. No clip.
no wires.
Oh my God.
And it's as a stunt performer, you can't tap out before the actor. You just can't do it. Cannot do it. You can't do it. And Paul's not, he's an actor, but he's like a stunt guy.
Dude, he was one of the best. Yeah. Always loved to get down.
And so like it's 2 pages and they're behind us and it's wide and they could see the floor. And I'm just like, yo, Paul, pull the actor card.
Yeah,
like this so I could get a box.
This is too tough, guys.
I get a box. But to the point, I mean, he just wouldn't do it.
That's not his attitude. Yeah.
He just wouldn't do it.
That's
my one Paul Walker story, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I did have had a career. I think I was fortunate to get into coordinating relatively early. But I did have some cool moments. I got to do some cool gags. And
I was going to ask you, can you let the people know about your favorite, or maybe not favorite, but your most memorable stair fall?
My most memorable stair fall. It's one of those things that I think if you're going to do something once in your career, that's probably it, right? Mm-hmm. So
yeah, when I heard this story, I was like, what?
And the funny thing is like, as stunt people love to tell stories, right? Stunt people love to embellish stories to a certain degree, right?
It's a constant in our business.
But the best, yeah, exactly. It's a constant. But the best is like, I don't have to embellish it because people like they were there that we know tell the story.
They could tell the tale.
And it's so funny. So.
That's so funny. And what project was this specifically on?
Okay, so it was Scary Movie 2. Okay?
That's right. And I remember being like, it's not even a huge action movie.
So Scary Movie 2 and...
oh, now I remember.
So... Mike Gunther was a buddy of mine. He was coordinating the movie with Eddie Watkins, I think.
Okay.
And he calls me up at like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
He's like, dude, I got the stair fall. Can you do it? And I was like, I'm not that far into my career, so like I'm just hoping I can pay my rent.
You're a yes man. Yeah,
I'm like,
at that point.
Yeah, I don't care what it is. Of course I'll do it, So I never done a stair fall.
Yes, even better. Yes, even better.
Ever. And so I go to work and, we are always there early, right? So we're up somewhere in the Hollywood Hills and
was this a rush call? Like you went straight to set or was this like the next day?
This is the next day.
Okay. I was like, dude, all right.
It's a night shot. It's a night shot. So next day and I show up there and I'm walking up and I don't know where it is. I wish I could remember where it was, but I'm walking up these stairs and I pull up and there's an ambulance there and right. So knowing what I know now, like that's never good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That means it's serious.
Yeah. It's never good. And then, so I walk up and I think I'm the only dude doing it. Well, then I see there's another guy. So as you know, when they bring in two, it's never good either, right? So
that means they're preparing for the worst.
Yeah. And so I'm walking up these stairs and they're pretty steep. And I was like, well, I think I could do this. No problem, And I'm behind like the camera guy and somebody else. And then we turn the corner and the stairs just go like that.
It was more that you hadn't even seen.
Just freaking like, I don't know. It was almost equivalent of like jumping out of a window, right? And I'm walking behind the camera guy and someone else and like, whoever's doing this is fucked. And I'm like,
that's me.
That's me. Right? So,
oh snap! That's the worst.
So we go out there and now like, I'm not even really prepared. I don't think pad wise.
Yeah, you've never done
I never really.
You've never done a mini stair fall.
I never fell on 3 stairs. Let alone this is 95.
95 stairs.
95. And so, fortunately, Richie Burton was there. I think Chris Palermo. Maybe Tim Rigby is out there. So they're like, Richie Burton's like, dude, you need to put this on.
All solid stunt guys themselves.
Solid stunt guys.
Solid stunt guys.
So Richie's like, you need to wear this. And I was like, okay, I'll wear this. And now I'm wearing a priest outfit, which is even funnier, right?
No way.
So it's 95 stairs. There's a wrought iron railing on one side, and there is a cement wall on the other.
Okay.
So there's either you get stuck or you smash the wall.
Yeah.
And so we go up there, and I forget who was the other guy. The other guy goes and starts to roll down the stairs, and it's kind of getting stuck, and it's not working.
It's a long run.
It's a long run.
Is long, man.
So you just got to send it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And so then my cousin's like, Justin, you're up. And I was like, so I'm standing at the top of the stairs, like 95 stairs is a long way away.
That is crazy high. This is like 14 right here.
And he goes, now it starts raining.
No.
Right? So
and it's a night shoot.
And it's a night shoot. And I've never done a stair fall. Well, the stairs went past 95. They built a pad catcher at the bottom to stop me. And like I said, I've never done a stair fall, so I don't know what you do. And so I just remember it raining, and Mike Gunther being at the bottom of the stairs, and it's just like, jump out as far as you can. And I'm like,
to the stairs?
I said jump. I don't know.
No
so
shit.
I go, and I say action. I go. They had an IMO at like 18 stairs. I missed it in the air.
No way.
I headered the first like 20 stairs.
You just went past the whole first 20.
And then, but to a header.
Yeah, to your back.
Not even to like, just to my back. And I was going so fast down those stairs that I think I hit my head on the wall like the last like 4 stairs.
No
and my wig came
way.
off. And crashed into the catcher, and everyone was just like, oh my God, what did you just do? Right? But the funny thing is that goes along with that story, and like you'll still hear it because Chris Palermo will come work with us a bunch, and he'll tell the story, and you'll laugh and how stupid it was. So I go, I'm putting that one on my reel. He's like, what are you, a dummy? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you'll be doing stair falls for the rest of your life.
You'll be the stair guy.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, I never did another one.
No way. One and done.
Never, except for one. I did one on Stumptown, just
which I got to tell that story.
But
no shit, that was your second one.
But the funny part is that changed my career in the stunt.
People
world.
looked at you differently.
Looked at me different. Yeah. I'll never remember. I was driving home like the next day or something like that, and Chad Stolsky, we talked about before, then he called me up. He's like, all right, dude, now you can call yourself a stuntman.
The word was getting around. People
right? And that was just like, all right, like,
dope.
I did something that's worthy of, these guys I respect call me stuntman now. So.
100. That is great. Now, did you get a good adjustment? Was it decent?
I would have paid myself more. But the adjustment was my rep. Right?
I mean, yeah.
At that point, that was the biggest adjustment I'd ever gotten.
The biggest thing you get.
You know what I know now? I definitely would have paid myself more. But that was the biggest rep boost you could really ask for.
That is incredible. And I want to say that I think I don't know if it was you or someone else mentioned that it was playing at the rap party.
Funny story, and I don't know if this is true or not.
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Keenan Ivory Wayans directed the movie.
Yes.
And I heard this like years and years after I did it, that like he was looping it at his party. It never made the movie.
Yeah, that's what's
never
crazy.
made the movie, but they would loop it at his party. Like, look at this dumb motherfucker.
Look at this. And so you never even got the footage for your reel.
I got the Super 8, the mini DV that was back in the day, and I lost it, which I wish I still had it because it was definitely gnarly.
That dude, and you know what's funny is I wish I had your second one on tape because that was absolutely hilarious.
That one was just like, all right, enough talking. Let's just do this. Is how we'll do it,
dude. And for those that have no idea what we're talking about, we were almost at the end of our season on Stumptown, and we had a scene where Kobe Smulders is breaking into a high-end wedding or into a wedding party, and long story short, she gets stopped by a security guard at the top of the stairs, and she basically jukes him, and they wanted the guy to fall down the stairs. We kept like talking it out with our director over and over again, like, oh, this is how we'll do it. And he just wasn't getting it. And then I look over and Justin goes, we're just going to do it like this. and he gets juked, and all of a sudden I look, and he is falling down the stairs head first, backwards on his back, no pads on. And while he's sliding down, he's like talking to us while he's going down the stairs. He hits the bottom, and everyone's like, what the fuck just happened?
Sometimes the best way is just to show, you know?
I'll never forget that, dude.
I was laughing because I was like, where did they go? I was doing something. I don't know what I was doing.
Yeah, you were stuck on another part, and they broke us away.
I was doing it, and I was like, no, we'll just do this. And I was like, I'll just send it, and, you know, but that was definitely funny.
I was dying, so I watched your second stair fall.
You did watch my second stair fall? It's funny, my daughter asked me, like, Dad, why is your phone cover all messed up? And I was like, a stair fall. She's like, why did you do that? And I was like, sometimes it's easier to send it and not talk about it.
And I felt so bad for our stunt guy that did it because I was like, dude, you can't pussyfoot it now. The coordinator did it with no pads on. Oh, dude, that is hilarious. Yeah. And so, like, from all the things that you've done, like, obviously, the stair fall gag and all that stuff has been fun. Is there anything else in your career that is, like, probably one of the most memorable things, performance-wise?
Performance-wise, you know, I think, you know, there's definitely gags, right? I think I got to do one of my first full burns was pretty memorable. Dope. Which kind of, again, like most of my other gags, they got CG'd, so it was terrible. But, you know, I think, you know, I mean, I did some things on We Were Soldiers, jumping out of spinning helicopters and stuff like that. I don't know if they're memorable. I'm just like happy I didn't die.
I was going to say, just survive the tale.
Just survive.
Wow.
You know, I think, as you know, it's like you do a ton of work, but you remember shows not so much by what the gag you did, but about the time and the time you spent with the people and how much fun you had on it. I agree.
Because a lot of times they're huge portions of our lives.
And, you know, I think, like, you know, we did the first Expendables movie, and I was doubling Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and Randy Couture at the same time.
No way. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Which was kind of fun. Which is a great movie. And we got to do lots of stuff and burns and fights and all that stuff. But, you know, we got to go to Brazil, and I got to hang out. You know, if I could say the most memorable thing is like being at the beach in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, jumping in like 30-foot like beach breakers, you know, with our buddies. You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, I'd have to be, it's been so long.
Dude, it's crazy. It also just speaks to the fact that you've done so many things over the course of the career. Like, things start to just blend together at a certain time, you know?
It does. You know, I think, which is good and bad. You know, I think this business, we're always kind of marching forward.
Yeah, 100.
Right? You know, I think that's why the old guys tell us the best stories, right? Because they got time to kind of sit back and think about, like, well, this was a great gag, or that was a great gag. You know, we're still marching forward, trying to blaze our trail, you know.
That is so wild, man. And so one of the things I want to ask you, because a lot of the guests that we have on the show are, a lot of them are just starting off, or they're like, you know, up and coming performers that haven't coordinated yet. And so one of the things I just want to ask you is, how is it having to balance family life and working so often, you know?
Well, how you balance that is you get a really good wife. That's how you balance that.
Because I was going to say, you're still on, you've been with your wife for quite some time. Yeah. There's a lot of coordinators I work with that are on wife 3 or 4.
Yeah. They're the biggest part of your wife, and your family are the biggest part of when you're married, how successful you can be. Okay. Right. Yeah. And I think that's always a work in progress for sure. But, like, you know, I have 2 kids that are in school.
Yeah.
I can't leave Atlanta at 7:00 on a Saturday morning to be back at 6:00 on a Monday morning.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And so you really have to have like a really strong, understanding wife. It's like, and my wife's really great about that. She's like, and she always says it, and that's why she's like, I know when you click in. right? And she just gives me the space to go and do that. And, and it's hard. It's hard on her and it's hard on the kids, and they take a lot of responsibility on when I'm gone. But she knows that, like, for me to be successful at what I do, when I start something, I'm on. Like,
oh, I know this.
And it's kind of we talked about it before. It's a weird mindset. You know what I mean? It's like, and I hate to use this because it's not really apropos, but it's like, it's like going into, you lock in. Like,
yeah.
When, for example, when I was in Atlanta doing Watchmen, like, or wherever we go, like, that's your life. That's your life for 9 months or however long you're there.
Yep.
And your off time is like my weekends on that show were, what am I doing physically and mentally to get myself ready to
just
have another week, right?
Totally.
And to be able to focus in like that, you have to have a very supportive family because it can be a nightmare if it's not.
I've just had girlfriends that things have ended because I'm too focused on a show.
Yeah.
But I'm like, at the same time, if I don't dedicate this mindset to it, someone could get hurt.
Right.
Like, I really need to dedicate.
And
everything.
I think, it's obviously a learning process, right? And it's who's willing to learn. Like we talked about when I was coming back for Stumptown, like coming back from Atlanta for Stumptown, like my life's like, I don't care where you go, but don't come home for 3 days or till you feel like you're prepared to not be the stunt coordinator at home.
Yeah, come back as dad.
Yeah, come back as dad, come back as my husband. But like, if you need that time, I'd rather take 4 days by yourself than
get your mind right.
Get your mind right.
Yeah.
You gotta, it's like,
totally.
When you come off a show, it's like, we're used to saying that happens now, right?
Oh, yeah.
We're used to running the program.
Yeah.
You don't run the program at home.
Yeah.
And also, your brain is like a marshmallow when you're done.
Like, you're just exhausted. It's been a marathon.
It just shuts down.
Yeah.
Like, you're on 24/7, and then all of a sudden, you're not on anymore, and your brain just melts.
Yes.
So that's just having someone who's supportive and understands your goal and realizes that that goal is important to you, and it's not like trying to take away from them. It's just how important it is to you to support you.
Would you let your kids do stunts if they asked?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I think the risk factor is not anything that scares me, right? I think you just have to think it's more along the lines of like, can you handle this lifestyle?
Totally.
Right? Because it's a different lifestyle.
It's not as glamorous as everyone thinks, guys.
It's not. You, listen, everyone thinks you're rich, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks you make a lot of money.
Or that we sit in trailers all day.
We sit in trailers. Yeah. People don't realize you work 70, 80 hours a week at all times of the day. Yep. Like, I don't know, there's too many jobs where you start on Monday morning at 6 a.m., but then your weekend's at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like the most glamorous job in the world, and like I said, we make a good living, but I'm sure if you broke down the hourly rate of what we're making, it's not that as what you are, but it's a passion, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't know, I would let my kids do stunts. I hope like I said, directors or own the studio or do something like that. But I wouldn't shy away from it.
Okay. That's a fair answer, and it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, a lot of people just have this misconception of what we do. I tell people all the time, and it's funny, I've had to catch myself when I'm like on dinner dates with people. Me and you are both guilty of this. We're used to running around so much on set that we can finish our lunch in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
we used to eat so fast that like our lead stunt double would always look at us and be like, guys, slow down. Like I'm cutting my food and we're done,
And it's like, one, it's just like, as it's like we want to eat and be done because we probably have something to
A
do.
meeting, yeah.
Or we want to eat and be done and not do anything.
Yeah, just decompress for the 20 minutes, you know?
Right,
Be like, let me just chill for 20 minutes.
Yeah, you know, and that is definitely, and like you said, that's, I think, what people don't realize is like, it really is a 24/7 job.
Yeah.
You know,
It is if you commit to it.
if you commit to
way.
it, right?
Yeah.
If you commit to it,
You can definitely check in and check out, and there's some people that do that, but if you want to have a really long-standing career and be successful, you got to check in.
You got to just keep hammering.
Hell yeah. And so between all of your experience as a coordinator and as a performer, what advice would you give to someone that's interested in just getting into the business or is considering like being a stunt person?
I would say this, all right, and this is, we definitely kind of live in the same, me and you kind of got the same, like, don't be an asshole.
Yeah.
That's like number one, right? 100. Your attitude, there's very few gags where I'm willing to deal with an attitude to get the job done.
Just for that one.
For that one thing, right? I think, listen, at the end of the day, we talked about hours. Don't be a pain in the ass, right? Show up, listen, work hard, be dedicated, and just be cool to people.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's just overall, be cool to people. Like, there's nothing worse than someone coming to work. If you're cool, as you know, we hire a lot of the same people.
I was going to say, one of the common questions is that guy a pain in the ass? And we're like, nah.
Exactly. Right, and that's why it works, because at the end of the day, I don't want to hear from the base camp PA, and I don't want to hear from the wardrobe person that you didn't hang up your clothes.
Nothing worse.
I don't want to hear complaining about this and that from other people, because I have to work with these people for the next 7 months. And when it comes down to it, me having a good relationship with them is more important than your one day coming here being a pain in my ass.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
And you got to take it seriously. You know, results are earned, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, money's earned. You can slide by and be average, but like we talked about, like the people we talk about, dude, they just put it down, right? Totally. Their failure wasn't even an option, right? And I think same with us. It was like, once I got the hang of I liked this, like, failure was not an option.
No,
I was going to do whatever I needed to do. And it's like, I talked about my kids about this a lot, and we talked about it. It's like, if you're cool and you train hard, but it's like, you only get so many opportunities, right? Like we talked about those stair falls or whatever, and I'm sure you had moments in your career where it's like, you have to be ready to capitalize on those opportunities, because there is no like, he did a good job, right? It's either he sucked or that was awesome, right?
Yeah.
That awesome moves your career in a positive direction. That was okay, or that sucked, moves it in a complete, and it's much harder to recover from the you sucked moment. You don't. Totally. This is a by day business, right? You are only as good as you were yesterday.
Yep.
That's it. So if you did a great gag on Tuesday and you came and crashed a car into a camera on Wednesday, your driving is over.
Yep. 100%. And you live and die off reputation, because we're not in an industry where there's auditions, it's literally word of mouth reputation, you know?
And by being cool, like, listen, part of the deal is, can I spend 12 hours a day with you? Right? Can I spend 12 hours? Because, like I said, there's not too many gags out there that you really need to sacrifice attitude for talent.
Yep. Very rarely is there like one of one that can only do that one thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know? You can call 100 people.
Yeah. I used to say that all the time, that like I saw a big difference when I went, because I was very fortunate that my career started immediately in the feature film world. And there would be times where I'm like, man, that's crazy that this guy's on this film. But like a week in, I would be like, oh, he's here because he makes everyone laugh, and he's like a Swiss Army knife. Like, he does everything. He helps rig, he moves pads, he fights.
And that's what I'll say. And I think, which is most important too, which I'm glad you said, is, dude, be a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the more things you're better at, the more opportunities you have to be on a show. right? Be able to fight, be able to drive. Listen, you're not going to get, as you know, we hire the same people a lot because you know what you get.
Yeah, you know what.
But when you have that opportunity, you know, you don't want to be the guy that can fight. And I'm like, okay, can you come and just get out of this parking spot hot?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to have to hire another person to do that.
Just for one thing.
One thing. Like,
yeah.
You know, you drove yourself to work, right? You should be good enough. If you're a stunt person, you should be good enough to drive away.
Exactly, yeah.
So just be a Swiss Army knife, you know. I think we've gotten to in this business where it's a business of specialties, right? And where it wasn't so much kind of when I started, like you were expected to hit the ground, fight, jump in a car if you could.
Yep.
Help rig. You weren't going to be the rigger, but help rig and just be around, pay attention, right? You know, like we talked about earlier, it's like, dude, that knowledge, you're getting paid. Knowledge is right there in front of you. All you got to do is sit there and watch.
Yeah.
You know, no one's asking you what the focal length of that lens is, right?
And those skills will inherently transfer to a job in the future.
Exactly. You know, be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, even on our show, even when we were trying to find our lead double, the one question we always had was like, oh, does that person drive also? Because we needed a huge, wide skill set. You know?
And also, like you said, the big thing was like...
pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass, right?
Exactly.
No, but it's not a pain in the ass, right?
Exactly.
We laugh all day long.
Dude.
Right?
Good, yeah, once you find good people, you want to work with good people.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes your life easier.
You know? Because, listen, like again... we're making TVs and movies. We're not building rocket ships and curing shit. So, like, come to work, be cool, be prepared, don't be an asshole.
Have fun, yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I think that's great words of advice. And one of the things I always ask people before we get out of here, and I'm kind of interested because I've never asked you this before, is where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? And it can be work-related or not, but...
You know, I think... 5 years from now, 5 or 10 years from now, I'm hoping I'm going to get the opportunity to direct more than second unit. You know, that's something that I'm really passionate about, want to do. You know, you spend, I've done well over 200 episodes of TV as a coordinator. That's a lot of days.
A lot.
But, you know, I hope to just keep marching forward. You know, the funny thing is it's hard to look in the future because this business is so crazy as we know about at this moment. I just really, at the end of the day, I like working and I just hope that continue on working with cool people and having fun, right? You know, as much as we can. But yeah, man, hey, if someone wants to give me a directing job, I'm good.
Phone is on, right?
Yeah, phone is on.
Hell yeah. No, I think that's great, man. And more than anything, you know, besides coming on here and donating your time so our listeners and viewers can hear your side, I personally really thank you, man, because I wouldn't have gone through that 9 months without someone like you, you know?
Well, I appreciate it, man. And right back at you. You know, I think to me, you know, the team is everything, right? No one does it by themselves. No one got here by themselves. No one puts the finished product out there by themselves. So to me, the team is everything. And I think, talk about it, like, I feel fortunate when people want to come to work.
Yes.
Right? I feel fortunate when the people that I respect and I know can go work anywhere or want to come work for us because of they know we run a good program and we know we take care of them and you know they know we do good stuff, and that's the most important thing to me. So I'm glad that we've obviously met and connected because, like I said, we talk about working with good people, not just good at what they do, but good people, and that really follow that team aspect, and so it's been great because I don't know if I would have made it. I was struggling for a few months.
Totally.
You know?
We were both struggling, yeah.
But it's turned out to be something really great, and I'm hoping we're going to get the second season rolling here soon.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it, man. And like I said, I'm a sponge whenever I'm around you, so I really appreciate all the knowledge and stuff you're sharing. You know?
No worries, man. Well, I appreciate all your efforts and help. You're just as big a part of the show as anyone else. So
Hell yeah. Let's go season 2.
Let's do it.
Hell yeah. So, yo, before we get out of here, can you just look in that camera and let people know where they can follow you and stay up to date with you?
I'm terrible at this, but my Instagram is j.riemer, RIEMER _action director.
And we'll put it on the screen.
There you go.
And I know you got a website coming out too?
JustinRiemer.com, RIEMER. I'm in the process of updating it, but there's cool stuff to check out.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, we got to make sure we shout that out.
I've been hanging around with Travis, so I finally got like a work Instagram and a website and stuff, which is, if you don't know me, that's way out there for me.
It's way out there, Yeah. It's funny. Like, I'm learning all this stuff from him about safety, and I'm teaching him about Instagram.
Yeah. He's like, you got to post it this way. And I was like, oh, that's why their black screen shows up.
I'm like, the cover thumbnails. Oh, man. Well, yo, I appreciate you coming through and your time. And, dude, just sitting down and talking to you for the first time in, like, months has been so cool. I feel like I said, you're like a family member.
Yeah, no doubt, man. It's been good to get back and reconnect. And here's the hope, and we can just laugh and bust balls. It's here shortly again,
Hell yes. Praying for some normalcy soon.
Normalcy, please. Yes. Put a mask on, people. Stay away from people. Don't be stupid.
Do your part.
Yeah, please. Get us back to work.
Awesome. Well, yo, guys, as always, please be sure to hit that like button and comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for brand new jam breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Mr. Justin Riemer himself. So as always, I got to give a very special shout out to Mr. Connor Simon for running the cameras in the Switcher app as always. Got to give a very special shout out to our guest this week, Mr. Justin Riemer. And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Till next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.